In the burning heart of the Sahara, long before borders carved Africa into fragments and maps gave names to the nameless, there was a lion. Not a lion like any known today, this one was immense, cloaked in a mane that shimmered like liquid bronze under the sun. Its growl was said to slow the wind. Its presence bent time. For nearly a millennium, across dynasties and deserts, it walked unseen and unaged. Priests feared it. Generals chased it. Entire villages vanished in the wake of its roar. They called it the Chronobeast, the lion that lived for 900 years. Its footprints have been found fossilized beside Roman sandals and Ottoman sabers. Its face, unmistakably the same, appears on crumbling frescoes 1,000 years apart. It was worshipped as divine, hunted as a demon, and never seen to age. To speak of the Chronobeast today is to walk the knife edge of myth and history. But if one dares, if one truly listens between the folds of time, the stories begin to stitch themselves into something more, something horrifying, something eternal. According to fragments from a lost Nubian codex unearthed in 1893, the lion was not born of flesh alone. It came screaming into existence during a night of celestial rupture. Above the black sands of what is now northern Sudan, a meteor storm cracked the heavens in the spring of the year 124 BC, the year the night burned. Villagers in the oasis of Gebel Erik described a deafening roar that came not from the sky, but from the earth beneath their feet. In its wake, a mother lion was found dead near the crater, her belly torn from within, no signs of scavengers, no signs of decay. What walked away from her corpse was not a cub. It was already the size of a stallion, and it left tracks that smoldered for hours in the sand. Within days, the creature found its way to the temple of Menchu. It's an obscure site buried by time, but once sacred to the priesthood of death and time. From copper tablets buried deep within those ruins, recovered by French archaeologists in 1907, a description survives. The Chronobeast stood not as a king among lions, but as something far beyond even royalty, a singular force of nature, armored in contradictions. To witness it was to confront the impossible. Eyewitness accounts scattered across the centuries, all bear uncanny resemblance despite separation by culture, language, and epoch. It towered at nearly 14 feet when upright on its hind limbs. Though rarely did it need to, even on all fours, it loomed above men and beasts alike. Its body was leonine in motion but bulkier, heavier built with a bone density that defied measurement. Ancient Nubian records refer to it as the mountain that breathes. Its paws, wider than shields, were tipped with talons reminiscent of an eagle's but thicker, metallic in hue. And rumored to spark when dragged against stone, its skin was not fur alone. Beneath the golden pelt course, clumped and matted with dustrin, a secondary layer of dermal plating. Scales, not unlike those found on the backs of crocodiles, but patterned in fractal formations that shimmered under certain moons. These were said to shift slightly, adapting color and heat absorption with its surroundings. It was neither warm-blooded nor cold, existed in a state between, confusing thermal readings in modern attempts to track it. Its head was unmistakably leonine, but longer in the snout and reinforced at the brow with what could only be described as a ridged, bone-like helm. Some claim this to be a crown of natural armor thurs, a calcified halo, formed by centuries of exposure to time-distorting elements. Most striking, however, were the tusks. two spiraling columns of ivory-like material, erupting not downward but backward from its upper jaw, curling in the shape of ancient ram's horns, glowing faintly under starlight. When the beast roared, the vibration caused them to hum, producing a frequency that reportedly drove birds from the sky and shattered nearby stoneware. Its mane was not merely hair. It was laced with filaments that reacted violently to adrenaline surges. When enraged, the mane ignited not into flame, but into sparks, a corona of static and light that crowned its fury. Eyewitnesses described the phenomenon as a storm caught in fur. Its eyes were perhaps the most unsettling. Descriptions across 9 centuries remain unchanged. Twin orbs of molten silver, without pupil or sclera. They did not reflect light, they absorbed it. Many who claimed to lock eyes with the beast described lost time, fragmented memory, and a deep ringing that lasted for days. Some ancient mystics believed its gaze could slow the aging process, or even reverse it. Others warned that to look too long was to erase oneself from time altogether. Internally, the creature was even stranger. The priests of Kentamenchu, who performed forbidden autopsies on beasts it maimed but did not kill, wrote of a secondary heart located not in the chest, but buried deep within the abdomen. This second heart, they claimed, beat in reverse, pulsing counter to the rhythm of the first. Together, they created a perpetual loop of temporal resonance, shielding the Chronobeast from entropy. Its lungs, according to the same tablets, were lined with a gold-mercury alloy, either alchemically infused or naturally occurring within the creature. These lungs allowed it to inhale poisonous gases and release them in short bursts corrosive to man and beast alike. Witnesses described clouds of golden vapor exhaled before attacks, to burn the skin and warp the air like heat above asphalt. Bones discovered in the valley of Wadi al-Haytham in 1899, dismissed as fakes by early paleontologists but now locked in government vaults, showed vertebrae that hummed under electromagnetic scans. Magnetized marrow. Fragments of teeth found, embedded in the ruins of a temple in Osmaro, were sharper than obsidian, and had once been used to carve ancient ceremonial daggers now kept in the Vatican's black archives. This was not a lion. It was not an elephant. It was not even a hybrid by natural law. The Chronobeast defied biology as we know it. It lived beyond the scope of time, anchored by a physiology that seemed less like evolution and more like deliberate construction, engineered by something or someone long since vanished. And despite all this, despite centuries of study, obsession, worship, and fear not a single one of mankind's attempts to contain it ever succeeded. For all its terror and majesty, mankind has never stood idly before the unknown. The Chronobeast, a creature so immense and enigmatic, has drawn the obsession of emperors, priests, scientists, and madmen alike. Each age, believing itself wiser or braver than the last, mounted efforts to seize it, teach, doomed to fail, each leaving behind only fragments, whispers, and blood. The earliest recorded attempt dates to 775 AD, during the expansion of the Abbasid Caliphate. A hunting unit, known in secret as the Sakr Owakt the Falcons of Time, was dispatched deep into Nubian territories following reports of a lion whose mane sparked in the dark. The Caliph al-Mahdi, obsessed with immortality and time, commissioned the mission not to kill the beast, but to drink of its blood, which was said to reverse aging and bestow prophecy. The unit disappeared without trace. Months later, a single survivor staggered into a village near the Nile Delta, speaking only in reverse speech, his hair white and nails blackened to ash. He clutched a scroll that no scholar could decipher, not because the language was foreign, but because it seemed to shift every time one tried to read it. The scroll remains locked in the private vaults beneath the Istanbul archaeology museums. Access is forbidden. Centuries passed. In 1486, Leonardo da Vinci wrote cryptic notes about an eternal lion with clockwork lungs, seen in sketches brought back from Ethiopian crusaders. He theorized it to be not animal, but a biological mechanism, self-winding, self-healing, and proposed designing a trap made of mirrors and hydraulics. But the design was destroyed during a mysterious fire in his studio that consumed nothing else. In 1809, a British naturalist named Henry Winstow led an unauthorized expedition into the Sahel, backed in secret by the East India Company. His journals describe an encounter in a valley of black glass, where compasses failed and horses refused to move forward. They discovered enormous paw prints in hardened, rippled sand, still warm to the touch. That night, half the team vanished. Winstow himself was later found walking the streets of Alexandria, naked, covered in symbols carved into his skin. He lived for precisely 9 more days and never spoke again. His skin was flayed and preserved, eventually purchased in the 1930s by an anonymous collector in Prague. But perhaps the most infamous attempt came during the Second World War. In 1941, under orders shrouded in secrecy, a Nazi unit codenamed Eclepsy WGLF entered Ethiopia. Their mission was cryptically referred to as Die Rucknum Day Teres, the reclamation of the beast. Led by occultist General Otto Weismann, the unit carried experimental sonic rifles and iron traps forged with meteoric metal. They believed the Chronobeast was not merely a creature, but a gatekeeper biological lock to a deeper power, possibly extraterrestrial in origin. For 40 days, no word came, and in the final days of Operation Barbarossa, a single transmission was intercepted. We set the traps. It watched, it led us, and it walked through fire. Our bullets reversed in the air. The time is broken. When Allied forces reached one of the abandoned forward camps 2 years later, they found journals dated 1967 written in Otto Weismann's hand. Equally chilling were the lost efforts of a secret cabal operating out of Tangier in the 1980s. A syndicate known only as the Hourglass Pact funded global poachers to gather DNA from every known big cat, elephant, and prehistoric fossil record. Their goal? Recreate the Chronobeast synthetically. Their facility was reportedly destroyed in a controlled implosion the day before their reawakening day.
Ow.
No blueprints or records remain.
Ow.
Only a single phrase scrawled in blood across a titanium wall panel, unearthed in the wreckage. He cannot be contained, because he has already been. The Vatican, too, is rumored to have played a role. In 2002, leaked footage from an excavation near the Nubian. Pyramids showed a subterranean chamber with what appeared to be claw marks along the stone marks that glowed when exposed to UV light. The footage disappeared days later. The archivist who uploaded it died of sudden cardiac arrest within the week. His hard drives were wiped. No cage has held it. No weapon has scarred it. No mind has endured its presence unchanged. It has watched mankind rise and fall, kings burn and satellites spin. It has witnessed the birth of language and the rise of steel. But perhaps the most terrifying thing of all is that it has never once been seen to run. The world today hums with the noise of machines, satellites, sensors, and screens. And yet, in this age of surveillance and data, the Chronobeast remains untraceable, at least officially. But beneath the surface of mainstream science, buried in classified footage and forbidden research, its shadow still looms. The lion that lives backward has not vanished. It is simply adapted. In 2021, a satellite from the European Space Agency, monitoring desertification patterns in northern Sudan, captured a thermal anomaly. The image, dismissed in public briefings, showed a glowing spiral of heat nearly 40 feet in diameter shaped like a feline form crouched in the dunes. When magnified, the main emitted a visible shimmer. ESA scientists reported system errors in the minutes surrounding the event, with onboard clocks recording time lapses that overlapped and reversed. Internal reports referred to the incident only as Echo Point 9. The image was quietly handed off to an undisclosed division of UNESCO's Hidden Relic Preservation Team. But it leaked briefly on a fringe forum devoted to cryptids. Within minutes, the post vanished. The poster's account was deleted, but not before it spread to a handful of obsessed followers who've been watching the Sahel ever since. Dr. Penelope Rashid, temporal geologist at the University of Edinburgh, has gone on record, though rarely, about anomalies and burial sites across the Nubian corridor. Tombs she dated 300 AD show signs of being dug from the inside out, as if something left them rather than entered. More curiously, the skeletal remains buried within appear to be younger than the stonework that surrounds them by centuries. Strangest of all are the time fractures. Villagers near the Bayuda Desert speak in hushed tones of a soundless roar that causes clocks to jump. GPS devices stutter. Cattle die without wound or illness. Children wake older. Sometimes, in the moments just before dawn, a glow is seen on the ridgelines, low and steady, like eyes, just beyond reach. Corporate entities, too, have entered the fold. Caradyne, a mysterious tech conglomerate rumored to operate out of unlisted facilities in northern Chad, is said to have purchased over 400 square kilometers of forbidden terrain once occupied by ancient burial complexes. What they're searching for? No one knows, but leaked patents suggest interest in chronostabilization fields and organic time reversal membranes. The language in their filings mimics the notes of Da Vinci, the obsessions of Almighty, the failed alchemy of the Hourglass Pact. We fed it mercury, for it drank nothing else. Its breath steamed with gold. We chanted the hours backwards, and it blinked. When the incense of myrrh was set aflame, it wept silver from its eyes and bent the sun. The priests believed it a gift from the gods, half lion, half time-bound deity. Others whispered that it was punishment, a beast forged from the arrogance of man, born of alchemical folly and summoned to roam until the last sun fell. Whether worshipped or reviled, the creature's path could not be charted by calendar or logic. It moved where the air thickened, where compasses spun, and where old bones refused to rot. By the time of Cleopatra's death, it had already been seen in the hills beyond Aswan. 2 centuries later, Roman scouts under General Lucius Balbus wrote of a great beast, leonine but crowned with tusks, whose eyes knew neither sleep nor surrender. Strangely, this account matched perfectly the carvings found inside the ruins of a long-drowned temple near Lake Tana, dated 600 years earlier. How could a single creature and mated unchained walk, unchanged through the world for 9 centuries? The answer, if one dares to believe, may lie in the bloodline of the Chronobeast. There are stories that linger, not because they are told, but because they refuse to be forgotten. The tale of the Chronobeast is one such story, a ripple across centuries. A whisper buried in ash and starlight, a truth too large to fit into time itself. In the corridors of forgotten temples, its image remains unchanged across millennia, immortal not through worship, but through its refusal to die. In the margins of scorched scrolls, its name is scratched again and again, in tongues no longer spoken. The beast is not just a relic of the past. It is the seam that runs through the very fabric of our history, visible only to those who dare to see the world out of order. They say the creature walks backward through time, dragging our stories with it. That each roar bends chronology, splitting the linear into loops. That every failed attempt to capture it was not a failure at all, but a moment that had already happened, destined to be replayed again and again, because time is not a line, but a circle the beast has already walked. We search for it because we need to believe the impossible exists. That in a world of decay, something can live untouched by age. That in a universe of clocks and endings, there is still something that defies endings altogether. And so we hunt, with satellites, myths, and whispers, with memory and madness. But perhaps the truth is simpler than we know. Perhaps the Chronobeast doesn't flee us, because it doesn't see us as worthy of pursuit. Perhaps it does not run because it has already seen our end, walked past it. Somewhere tonight, under a sky as black as it was over 2,000 years ago, a breeze stirs across the dunes. The sand shifts, the air thickens. And if you listen closely, not with ears, but with that buried, primal part of your soul, you might hear the slow, deep pulse of a second heart. You might feel the shimmer in your bones, like time stalling for breath. And in that moment, you will know. It still walks. And it always has. The lion that lived for 900 years is not a story. It is a warning. Time is not what you think it is. Something ancient still watches from within it.